there you have it. It's back on. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor BENN is back on. It's going to happen in April this year. Over 2 years since they were due to fight. Obviously, we all know what happened with Conor BENN and his two failed drug tests. But the fight is on. 2 and a bit years later, we'll finally get to see it. Turki Alalshikh, he tweeted out at the early hours this morning, Eubank Jr. versus BENN done in April, London, by the name of Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. Soon he will announce the date and location. You know what? Again, I've spoken about this fight on numerous occasions. We know that there's always going to be this backstory of Conor BENN and the drug test, and we still haven't seen, although he's been cleared and there's Eddie Hearn spoke about the confidentiality on things, that they can't speak about it, but I think for BENN, he needs to come out and show us how and the clomiphene got into his system. I think that's what we're all waiting on. But he has been cleared to fight Conor BENN, and because of that, he is allowed to fight, and it's going to be in the UK. Now, this fight the first fight was about their fathers. It was their father's name, the BENN Eubank name. Now, I remember as a kid watching, and it was 35 years ago, their first fight, Nigel and Senior, Eubank Senior, 35 years ago, their first fight. And I can remember, I'm 42, I'm a lot older than Eubank Jr. and BENN. I can remember sitting with my dad watching it on ITV, watching that fight. And now I've spoke to both fighters, I've been around both fighters. And it's just that nostalgic feeling for me, seeing that Eubank BENN name. Now that may be a selfish point of view, and Andrew, you're going to mention that, I want to see the fight, but Ben still got to clear his name. I know that, trust me, please believe me, I know that. But I can guarantee you right now, the people that are bumping their gums about this fight, come April, you will be watching. You will be watching, it's a fact. Let's be honest. And like I said to you, it's the nostalgic feeling for me, seeing that Eubank BENN name, because I used to watch it with my dad. And I get to be around, now what, we're talking 35 years later, I'm in and around, I've spoke to Conor about it, I've spoke to Eubank Jr. about it. It's just a mad sort of roller coaster, and for me personal and a selfish sort of point of view from my end, but I do understand where people are saying about Conor needs to still sort of maybe let us know the facts of what happened. But again, we know that Eddie Hearn's talking about this confidentiality thing and that, but who knows, maybe in the future we will find out. But that's neither here nor there. The fight is on. It's at 160. There's a £10 rehydration clause. I think I saw Eubank Jr., he tweeted this morning as well, saying, just so you know, these two rats, Conor BENN and Eddie Hearn, are now trying to enforce a rehydration restriction on me to make the fight. They talk a big game, but when it actually comes down to it, just a pair of, and a cat emoji. We all know what he's insinuating there. So yeah, there's a £10 rehydration clause, so 6%, so both fighters can't come over 170 on fight night. But the fight is at 160, which I think suits Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be the way bigger man. I know Conor probably walks about at 160, but he is a welterweight. He is a 147-pound fighter. Can he carry the power up at 160? Will that £10 rehydration clause affect Chris Eubank Jr.? Who knows? But it's a mega fight for here in the UK. It's a fight that there's going to be people that are going to be bumping their gums and saying this fight shouldn't be on. It's a gimmick fight. They're fighting off their father's names, but I think it's more than their father's name now. I think it's got personal between both of them. It was about the father's name in the first fight, but with everything that's gone on over these last 2 years, there's more to this fight than it just being that BENN Eubank name. It's personal between the two of them. They hate each other with a passion. And I use the word hate and rather than dislike, because I really do feel there's a genuine hatred between both of these fighters. And that's what's going to make this fight exciting. And that's why you're going to tune in. Yes, you're going to tune in. Even though you're going to say, BENN hasn't cleared his name. We still don't know how the drug's got in his system. He's failed 2 tests. Chris Eubank Jr. shouldn't be fighting a welterweight. There shouldn't be a restriction on the rehydration clause for Chris Eubank Jr. Blah, 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 blah. I know that. I get that. I do get that, right? And I want Conor BENN to show us and show us. Listen, here's the proof. right? This is how they got my system, and this is why, and I'm innocent, and all that sort of stuff. But as a boxing fan, let's be honest with ourselves. We're going to watch it. We're going to tune in. And the fact that Nigel Benn, my wife just phoned me there. Conor BENN, um, Conor BENN is talking a good game. He's talking like he can knock Chris Eubank Jr. out. Chris Eubank Jr. I know Liam Smith is a big guy. He managed to get Chris Eubank Jr. out of there. But there was a lot made about Chris Eubank Jr.'s chin, and then Conor's had those 2 fights in the US against 2 fighters. Didn't manage to put a dent in them. They were tough fights, but he didn't manage to knock them out like he was against Chris Algieri. And remember those type of fights when he was just boom laying people out. Then he's had 2 tough fights, 2 tough guys that gave him rounds. So can Conor BENN knock Chris Eubank Jr. out? I mean, who knows? But Chris Eubank Jr. does pack a punch up at that 160-pound, and it's not so much the one punch KO power that Chris. I don't think he does have that one punch concussive power, but he does have speed, and it's the volume of punches that Chris comes with. Even though what is he 34? Listen, I don't know. Listen, I've not got his age up in front of me, but I know he's in his 32, 33, 34, Chris Eubank Jr. He might be 35, I'm not sure. I haven't done my research. Who cares? So, yeah, it's going to be one of them fights where can Conor sustain the volume of punches from Chris Eubank Jr.? Can Conor put a dent in Chris Eubank Jr.? I hope I've said that right. It's going to be intriguing, and you will tune in. I'm being honest with you right now. And again, going through that nostalgic thing that I'm talking about with my father, watching it on TV with him, and then being around both fighters and having the privilege and honour to be around both fighters. It's a surreal moment for me on a personal and a selfish level. But I just think that it's going to, the build up to it, the press conference, from now until April, it's going to be exciting. I mean, Conor Benn's basically came out and tweeted, "You are done, Chris Eubank Jr." And then I think Chris Eubank Jr. sort of retweeted the photo of Eubank, Turki Alalshikh, Eddie Hearn signing the contract with your death sentence, whatever it may be. I can't quite remember the tweet. I've not got it in front of me, but it was something along them lines. So this is just the start of it. The build-up is going to be unreal, and we're all going to tune in. I don't care who you are. You might be comment underneath this and say, "Oh, this is a gimmick fight and whatnot." Come April, when that date and venue and pay-per-view has been penciled in and we all know what's happening, you will tune in. I can guarantee that. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts. You happy with the fight? Are you going to tune in? Let me know. Leave a comment. I always try to engage with all the comments, so please, please, please subscribe to my channel as well. That would help out a little bit. But please, yeah, leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you because I love to engage with you, and let's create a little community. All right? Let me know.